Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I want to bring you first greetings from the after party. I want to say good morning, of course, to the Greater Garden Baptist Church and my church folks. Class of 79, I got the hours. Shout out to them. The community drop into my friend over at the Highland Hills Library. I want to also say good morning to a brother, one of my guests. Hello there, James Turkneck. I called you and told you better tune in because your sister was on the show. So on a recap from last week, I had to say an earthly farewell to a lifetime friend, church member, Melvin Dwayne Compton. We called him Bo. That's what I kept saying during my resolution. So I want to give special prayers sent out to family, to our friend Tanya in Pennsylvania, and hope that everybody is healing and doing well. Also, we had to say the city of Dallas sent a fond and sad farewell to Fred Alexander, drummer for the Lakeside. Y'all remember Lakeside? The group, you remember Lakeside, my friend? You remember Lakeside? And Liquid Funk was the band that was the hottest thing going around in the 70s and the 80s. I want to say to his daughter, Regina, got a chance to meet and chit chat with her. We're praying for you, baby. And, you know how it can be to be a daddy's girl. So again, the service was beautiful. At least people did a wonderful job on singing and getting audience involved. Of course, over at iBox, Ricky Rush did the eulogy for Mr. Alexander. So, like I said, it was a day of celebration of his life. And I want to say also thank you to Royce West and John Wiley Price for sending those beautiful tributes from their offices. So other announcements before we get to our show. Next Thursday the 9th from 3 to 4 at the Highland Hill Library, there will be all about animals. So if you want to bring your little one to find something to do, if they like animals like my Teelan does, Brain Numbers is all about animals, provides live, interactive, and educational animal programs. Also, and y'all know I do not celebrate 4th of July, but however, talking about a revolution, Highland Hills Branch Library, all day learning about revolutions from all over the world with Broadway actress Liz Nickel, Caramia Theater, and more. And that's going to be on the 11th of next Saturday, because we know 4th of July is this coming Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. 250 years of us for them. Reading America's past. Right now, y'all know how I am. I observe that day. I celebrate them too. One more, and we're going to get started with our show. Back to school. 30th annual Dallas Mayor's, 30 years? 30th annual Dallas Mayor's Back to School Fair. Registration is now open. What to expect? Free backpacks and school supplies, health screenings, haircuts and services, family resources and community booths, giveaways, activities, and entertainment. Now, you got to get there early. So we know some people go to Fair Park and camp out all night, get there as early as 5 a.m. so you can get all of the free goodies. And that's going to be Friday, August 7th. I will be announcing this all the way through. I know you have to register. Friday, August 7th, 2026, Fair Park, Dallas, powered by Junior League of Dallas, All Stars Project, and title sponsors again are Walmart and Sam's Club. So again, I'm going to be announcing that all the way through. An adult summer reading challenge, May 30th to August 9th. Adults 18 and up who read, discover, create can earn prizes. So I'll talk a little bit more about that because we have until August the 9th. So again, we want to say today's show is about men with breast cancer, men and breast cancer, recovery, discovery to recovery. We did have another guest that was slated to be with us, but something came up, so we have to say we'll just, like he said, we'll catch him next time, and that's fine. We want to give a shout out to him, but he did try. So again, this morning I have in studio none other than a friend of mine, a friend of Jappy. Friend of Jappy. Yes. She's out there all the time, as much as I am, at all of our events, and she has came with some information for us to talk about men with breast cancer. And then people can say, can men really get breast cancer? I will say it's a stupid question, but it is a question for conversation. So, Barbara Turkneck Edwards, let's have a conversation about that. Let me read y'all part of her bio. It's about 12 pages. Now I tell people, but when you're done a lot, 12 pages is really minor compared to what what's on paper. Barbara Turkneck Edwards and male breast cancer awareness. I'll start with the other one. It says Barbara Turnick was a triple negative breast cancer survivor, community advocate, and founder of the Rose M. Turnick Cancer Network, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering underserved patients across the United States. So that's the word you're going to hear on my show a lot, underserved. Y'all know about people. Now, in her 70s, what? No. Are you really in your 70s?
August the 8th, 70 years old.
Watch out now. Do what they say. She continues to be active in cancer awareness, education, and community support. Barbara is a mother of 3 grown sons and grandmother to 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter.
Yes.
Is that accurate? Okay, I know
Correct.
something. Okay.
Yes.
Her life took a defining turn in 2009 when her youngest sister, Rose M. Turnick, died from breast cancer. This loss became the catalyst for her mission to help others facing similar challenges. Barbara's work is rooted in personal experience. She herself was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer nearly 13 years ago, a diagnosis she faced with faith over fear. Let me say that again, faith over fear.
Yes.
She founded the Rose M. Turnick Cancer Network to address gaps in resources and support for patients, expectancy, especially in underserved communities where access to information and care is limited. Y'all know that to be the truth. Through the network, she organizes cancer awareness programs, connects patients to screenings and early detection resources, assists families in navigating, and that's very important, navigating the healthcare system, and provides financial and emotional support. And we'll talk about the art and public engagement in a few minutes. So let's talk about your work with RMT Cancer Network. Tell us a little bit about Rose.
RMT Cancer Network, again, is named in honor of my sister Rose M. Turnick, whom we lost in 2009 to breast cancer. And I did know mostly none of what I know now.
Right.
About the resources and the assistance and the support, I didn't know. So come around 2013, I was diagnosed personally myself. So going through it, actually, Claudia, if I had not advocated for myself 13 years ago, you probably would not be sitting here with me now.
Okay.
I would have been buried probably 2013, no later than 2014. Like my sister, she was dead within 6 to 8 months. So one of the things that RMT does is we make sure to teach our people how to advocate for themselves.
Right.
Because there is discrimination still going on. I'm not going to get all deep, but you will find an African-American woman will go and they will find a lump or something, and they will tell us quick, let's wait 6 months to a year and check it again. Well, no.
And that's the discovery part.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they tell you to wait that long before you can start recovery, which is either surgery or...
Well, sometimes you're dead by the time it come around.
Yeah.
Because what people don't understand, there's more than one kind of breast cancer.
Okay.
All breast cancers are not aggressive. In my case, when I went to the reason and one other reason, I tell people to always know what your insurance cover.
Okay.
Simple thing like transportation. Everyone think, oh, my medical insurance will pay transportation if I need. No, not true.
And that's part of the navigation of the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to know. So in my case, 13 years ago, well, over 13 years ago, I was here, went for my mammogram. I actually didn't live here. I lived in South Florida, but I was assisting my son with some things. So I've been getting a mammogram ever since I was 40. Set it up. My primary care doctor said, well, since your sister died from breast cancer, we need to do a diagnostic for you. So when I went to get the diagnostic, long story short, I'm sitting in there. You know how you sit in there, you undress and you have the gown, and they say, okay, you come in. Well, they come in and say, Miss Edwards, and they brought me into a private room, and the first thing they said was, are you having any problems? You have any lumps? No. Well, we're not going to be able to give you a diagnostic today, not telling me anything. So I said, well, no, my doctor gave me a referral, and I'm going to get it. Now, I'm not rude, but you have to be assertive because this is your life. You understand? And this is what I tell people. So I said, you get me your top person. And they brought me the top manager of the mammogram center that day. She came down, and the first thing she said was, Are you having any problem? I said, no, I'm getting my regular yearly mammogram. Do you have any lumps? And I said, yeah, and went to tell her that I had lumps that had been biopsied in the left. She didn't. All they need to know was I had some lumps somewhere because my insurance did not cover a diagnostic
Wow.
if you didn't have a problem. And all a diagnostic is, they just take more pictures. That's all a diagnostic is, okay? So we educate people, know what your insurance cover.
Wow.
To be truthful, I just got, I am an ambassador with Parkland's Breast Center. And I just saw that someone need a mammogram and they have to pay a copay. Now, that's totally new to me. Mammograms is basically like a yearly checkup. So I'm going to find out, why is this person having to pay a copay for a mammogram? It's new to me, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women or whatever. So that's basically what we do. We also, there's so many resources, not just locally,
That we
nationally.
don't even know about.
We don't know about. And I found out about those by going through, when I went through treatment. I didn't know any of this when my sister was dying. And, so what we do, we navigate those life-saving resources to the people that need them. And then mostly they're in our underserved, disadvantaged areas.
Right.
Because that's where our numbers are high. In our southern sectors, in Oak Cliff, South Dallas,
And thank you for what you've done in Joppa. You set up tables, you gave brochures, you talked to our women. So thank you, from me and from the community of Joppa for what you've done. Because like I said, I know you saved some lives because you put some things on our mind. I put it to you like that.
That's what we need to do. And, I'm like I said, I'm back at it. I was planning to be there for Juneteenth, but, I just got released from my surgeon Monday.
Right.
And so it was certain things I, didn't need to try.
You missed a good barbecue plate, you missed the rain. So it was a win, it was kind of like a lost win. So when we were talking about, I know that you have been an advocate about men and breast cancer, and that's who our friend Michael was due to be here because he is a 22-year survivor of breast cancer.
Yes.
Breast cancer, and then in 2004, and then 2025, on the last year, he got diagnosed with prostate cancer. Prostate cancer. So I know he's a Lincoln graduate, and he's done some things. I know he has a men's group over at Charleston Methodist, but we'll try to schedule him to come back on so he can, kind of tell his story. But I was reading about breast cancer in men is rare, accounting for less than 1% of all breast cancers globally, with an estimated 2,670 new cases and 530 deaths in the U.S. for this year. Globally, male breast cancer represents about 0.5 to 1% of all breast cancer cases, though some regions such as South Africa report higher rates of 1.8 to 3%. The average lifetime risk for men in the U.S. is 1 in 755. Now, I know that you have helped him, and because what he wrote about you was so personal and so touching. When I talked to send me a bio. Well, he talked a little bit about, he said, well, Miss Barbara has really helped me. So it kind of touched my heart for him to say that, and then we talk about how men, and you and I explored that on the phone when we were talking. I was booking you about men and how breast cancer is developed, but like some men, like you said, we need to, to debunk the myth of, I can't get breast cancer. I ain't no woman, and I've heard men say,
Trust me.
Okay.
I know. What I did, I went out and did the research.
Okay.
I personally went out. Now you see these gloves, when I go out with the gloves, somebody go ask me. So if I'm in an Uber, if I'm on a bus, if I'm on a train, if I'm in a meeting, and it's men, I ask them, hey, can I ask you a question? Let them know I'm not trying to flirt with them. And I ask, and so from going out, just talking to men, Claudia, you would just be in shock. Out of 100%, I'm breaking the numbers at 80% of our men do not know that they can get breast cancer at all. At all.
They think it's a ridiculous question when you ask them.
Yeah.
But
so the other 20%, this is where they fit in. Some of them have heard of it, but no one in their circle of family has it, so they don't really have a concern. And then in that other, actually 20% is some are just flat out ignorant. I'm a man, I don't have breasts, and I can't get breasts. I mean, seriously. And then I've had them to say, well, I don't have big breasts. You can have something like a pin the, as a nipple. It can get breast cancer. And what I tell them, I don't try to get into the medical part, but I can tell them on the inside, you have something that women also have. And that was from doing my research. And I've had men say, "Oh, I'm gonna call you. I want to," but no, you understand now. And
Yeah.
Michael and I, yes, Michael and I go out a lot together. I have pink. I have pink and blue.
Pink and blue, yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
talk about the color.
represent male and female breast cancer. RMT actually went globally this year in April. We spent 7 days in Jamaica. I had a company that sponsored me, and because when I pulled the numbers for Jamaica, this is what they said: Jamaica male breast cancer is 2 to 3%. Caught late, so that means most of them are dying. And you understand their medical system is not, we got some issues here, but you can imagine they have even more issues in Jamaica.
Right.
So I actually went out, and this is what the gloves are. The gloves represent the mission of hope, sharing hope. You got the navy ones, that's for men, but I got men that take pictures with the pink ones. And what I did, I went to men's shops, boutiques, and
Barber
all of
shops?
those clothing shows, boutiques, and everything, and just said, look, I'm a gorgeous woman. You understand that? So they were like, I'm got a cowboy hat on. I'm over there in Jamaica with a cowboy hat, and they talk to you,
Yeah.
and they'll listen to you. And if we would, they actually was gonna try to get me on the radio, but they needed us to stay, a little longer. But the airlines want a lot of money to change your dates
Right.
or whatever. So I do plan to go back, but they thanked me. I shared a video with a group of them, just thanks. Said, no one, this woman came across the water in their accent to help us. And, so the way I feel, we're all human beings. You understand?
Right.
And 1%, 2% or whatever, if it's caught early, you can live a better quality of life.
Right.
You understand? So I don't know what all Michael told you, but Michael had his breast removed, but no chemo and radiation.
Okay.
That means
Okay.
that he's gonna have a real. But I have men that have had their breast removed, radiation, and chemo. You understand? Just like women or whatever. So we need to get it out. So our new initiative is RMT is breaking the silence on male breast cancer.
Okay.
And people think, but your larger companies, multi-million, billion-dollar, no one is talking about it. We're working on our own literature because I couldn't find any literature. I did get some information from one of our major cancer organizations, but there is no literature. So we're doing our own literature because because we have to. I have 3 sons and 3 grandsons.
Right.
So we got to get the
Something about
information
them
out
grand
there.
boys, isn't it? I tell you.
I'm telling you.
When I was doing my research on it, about breast cancer, men may occur at any age, was typically identified in men ages 60 to 70. Invasive ductal carcinoma is the most common type of breast cancer in men. And then it talked about how the breast cancer begins. So there are different signs, different symptoms, of course, different treatment and more. And and I had asked the library. I said, "Well, what do you have?" She said, "We only have this one book called Coping with Cancer." I said, "So you have nothing on breast cancer?" Now I done researched, Eric Johnson, my spot, Highland Hill. Went on Poker. I went on all them, and there's really nothing that you can find. That may have been one book or something like that was about men and cancer. I think it was about how men can support a woman, with cancer. And like I said, when I did the show, someone called me and said, "What's on the show today?" They would ask me, "What you cooking today?" I'm like, "Well, on the show about men with breast cancer." They were like, "Oh. Is that really a topic?" I said, "It's going to be today at 11 o'clock. I said, because of the simple fact that, and I try to bring out information and subjects that are not common every day, topics of discussion. like you said, you get in the Uber, you run to somebody, be stand by a really, nice looking man at the store or whatever, and then, have you know about men and breast cancer? They really like you got two heads. You be like, well,
That's right.
no, because now, then they may say, well, my mother died of it, or my wife, or my, they may have a female in the family that they can conversate about, but never about a homeboy or somebody you go and y'all play basketball together, or maybe somebody in college or whatever, one of your fraternity brothers. I never have heard the conversation from another guy about another guy with breast cancer. So like you said, and there are different signs, and I encourage them, and like you've encouraged us in Jappy about doing your mammograms and doing your self your self exams. So when it comes to a male, what can you tell us is on some of the first signs?
Well, no one can say every sign because I can tell you, I will tell you some of the signs, but I have one that I introduced to Michael. He's in another state because RMT assists people all over the United States. That's why
Oh,
we went
okay,
globally
globally,
also,
okay.
because we have assisted a couple of people from out of the country, but this particular person's story is he had something, I guess maybe a mole, for 2 years. And for 2 years, his primary care doctor told him it wasn't anything. Well, he went to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist said, "Well, what is this?" He said, "When my doc," he said, "No, that doesn't look like anything." So, and I'm just slow, um, making a long story shorter. He's 71,
Okay.
and you don't even know a man can get breast cancer, and then you get a call from your dermatologist pathology report that you have stage 2 breast cancer. Mentally, that
Wow.
so these are the things that I deal with. This is why I knew something had to be done. I have one here right in Grand Prairie. He's 77 now. He did not have a lump, a itch, a fold, a nipple, bleed, a leak, or anything,
Pain.
but
Okay.
he had a pain.
Okay, he had a pain. Okay.
Yeah, in a pain, and they was like, okay, well, it's nothing. And then when it got so bad, he went back and apparently did a CAT scan or MRI, and it was behind his nipple. So he is the first triple negative male breast cancer that I know of. I personally met, and it was stage 3. And triple negative is one of the most aggressive breast cancer that there is. So he's 3 years out.
Okay.
So 5 years, they say you make it 5 years, you got a chance or whatever, because they still don't have a lot of things, treatments and therapies, which is better than it was 13 years ago.
Right.
But now they have more for triple negative, but he's doing fine, but he's 77, triple negative. And he had to fight because he was having that, or whatever. I don't know, because information, we need to update some information. I've been traveling. I've been to Philadelphia to a breast cancer summit. It was, oh my God, metastatic breast cancer. I don't know if you know what that is, but that means it's stage 4. It has
Right.
spread in other places. And, in different regions, you have different treatments and therapies. I went to Miami Breast Summit in late February, and it was awesome. And you just, when you see 23-year-olds and 22-year-olds,
Wow.
that's metastatic.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about breast cancer. We're talking about 4 stage and you fighting to live. This is why I have a passion to what I do, because I see, and I'm able to actually, try to give them some hope, because, we have a 33-year. You've interviewed her, Miss Lydia,
Yeah.
triple negative.
Yeah.
So I share her story. Let me tell y'all something. I got one. She's 33 years out, and baby, she get around like a Energizer bunny, because you want to give people hope. These gloves represent hope,
Right.
because everyone will give you every bad story about cancer. Oh, this, and then they died. Oh, this, they spread it. Well, when I was in Philadelphia, it was 500 and some women there. All of them had metastatic breast cancer. You wouldn't have never thought they were looking at, am I going to live this? Baby, we danced, we partied, we greeted. It was awesome.
Celebration.
It was a celebration of life. So you do something. So they be saying, "Why are you smiling? Why?" Man, let me tell you something. I was introduced to so many things, and people. My book is about relationships that I never would have had if I had not had breast cancer.
Right.
It's a journal style, and I'm just like, wow. Well, I got breast cancer. I had breast cancer if I had not, and I'm thankful. You have to be thankful and everything. Also, another thing we share, I share what I was introduced to. When my oncologist asked me would I go into a research, exercise research, the benefits of exercise before after chemo.
Okay.
I said yes. And so I always tell people I exercise with this good-looking, handsome man, blue-eyed man,
I know that.
30 minutes before I hit the chair. And then
So
when
it's
I
really physical exercises.
yes,
that you
it
do.
works.
Okay.
So after I exercised, I went back to the gym.
Okay.
So I did this all the way through my treatment. And I'm talking about exercise. We're not talking about just walking, you know. And then, actually, I do yoga now. Like, I don't take pain medicine or whatever. I took a little bit, you know, the regular type for the
Right.
surgery. But I'm 70 and I hadn't taken a pill or anything. If my back hurt or something, I get out and do yoga stretches or whatever. So I was introduced to yoga. The second phase of my chemo was to make my body pain. Well, this part in pain, but all this was sore and paining. And so when I did the yoga stretches in a 12 noon exercise class, it went away. So I tell people about exercise. I did 33 treatments of radiation. Did it in the morning, and I waited, about 8 something, I waited to 9 o'clock for the gym, and I went upstairs on the second floor and I worked out. 33 treatments. All I can tell you, I didn't have all of the side effects that most people have. You know, I never had to stop treatment. My blood counts never went low where they had to stop treatment.
Okay.
And I credit it to me working out. I was introduced to meditation, music therapy, art therapy, and that's what I credit it to. Because I just didn't have, you know, I looked like this when I was in treatment. You
And you was
understand?
good today, my
You know,
sister.
like I say,
You
I
wearing
mean,
that paint.
I was like, I got pictures of, I don't know if you saw, I got a picture, I was gorgeous, bald headed. But I tell them, they was like, how did you, and people would say, how do you take chemo, get out the chemo chair and go work out? It was people couldn't get up out the chemo chair once they finished
I
the
mean,
treatment.
I've known some people that have went through it, and I know it's very strenuous and stressful on the body. You know, and I know some people, a friend of mine, she was just exhausted, like you said, couldn't really move, barely made it home, got something to eat, and you know. And I was saying that she would come and drop it. I'm gonna tell you, until I read her bio, I did not know that you were a cancer because the makeup was always flawless. You were always talking, and you know, you were like the life of the job party. You know, I'm walking around eating a rib and drinking me a Dr. Pepper. You know, her makeup, you know, I'm sweating, you know, and her makeup was fine. You're talking to all the women, and you're handing out information, and I asked Amanda, I said, girl, what about her? She said, she's doing what she do. You know, she's got her own network. She told me about the network before, before, you know, I knew about it. And then she said, you need to get on the show. I said, when she does with me with breast cancer. I said, now that's a conversation. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, but I do appreciate what you do now. I know that this takes money. I mean, any type of research, and they don't do as much research for African American cancer networks, I think, as they do with the other network. I know Susan G. Komen is huge. You know, people give, donate. How important is it that people look at things like our MT network and donate? And I know you got some things coming up, I think, in August.
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
us about that.
Yeah, it is critical because I was just, my Uber driver who bought me here, I just had a conversation with her. She's a teacher. And I was explaining to her some of the numbers. I said, more Caucasian women are diagnosed with breast cancer,
Than African American women.
but more African American women die from it.
Okay.
That's why we have to really get out and make sure they get the mammograms, and that's why like I say, I'm an ambassador with Parkland. I go out with Parkland staff. You'll see me all over the place. I done been to North Dallas. I done been to DeSoto, Duncanville, City Hill, Pleasant Grove, all of them, but a lot of our people are not often to donate it. Now that's one of
That's
our
true.
that's one of our weakest areas. I have RMT have helped people get mortgages paid.
Okay.
You, uh, she was telling me I've assisted two people from Joppy. Both of them died. Uh, where Shalandra had told me, and she told me something, and she's gonna write it up. I was like, "What?" I say, "That's the second person that told me they got those resources from when I resources." It's amazing because I don't. People, you help people, and most people don't understand. Some of the people I've never met.
Right, right.
The two from Joppy, they died. I never met them. And I was checking on, and I follow up and I check on them. And one of them, her treatment, where at one point she couldn't talk, and then another point she couldn't hear. And she said, "Miss Barbara, you have to text me." So I sent her a text checking on. She never responded, and I just found out 2 months ago that she had passed away,
Yeah.
and things like that. So people be saying, "What?" Most of the people I assist, I've never. I just talk to them over the phone. Now, when I go out, I'm talking. But for his donations, what I do, because another thing I was, like I told you, I was introduced to art therapy.
Let me read this. Beyond advocacy, Barbara is also an artist. Her Be Kind art collection reflects her belief in the healing power of kindness. And that's one thing my first lady is big on in my church. You can't be anything, just be kind, you know.
That's it.
And that made me think of her. Especially during times of isolation, such as COVID-19 pandemic. She is known as the boxing cancer diva. Diva she is, and has exhibited her work, including at the Baylor Scott White and the Texan Oncology Building. So now I see the red, white, and tell me about the red, white, and blue gloves. Tell me about
Okay.
those.
All of them will
Oh,
have
you
red,
created
white,
both
and
of these,
blue.
right?
Yeah, those
Your
those are
collection.
hand created. The red, white, and blue, you'll see a flag on all of them because they represent our 50 state mission of hope, which we
Yeah.
started before the pandemic.
Okay.
And I had corporate sponsors, and I've been to New York. I had a corporate sponsor put me up for 1 week, 7 days in New York, and I'm just going out with the gloves, telling people, um, everyone is not dying from cancer. And they be like, "Are you kidding me?" I went on the subway. I got pictures and stuff on the subway talking to people. Like, we can't believe someone is going around sharing hope. Really, so the gloves are well known.
Right.
Vegas, we've been on the script talking to the girls. Miami, I've been to Vegas a lot of time. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Mississippi. 2021, the last 6 months of 2021, I was on the coast of Mississippi and Louisiana. I don't want to say the number, but there's 80 some miles that's called, they have a French name, but the French name means Cancer Alley. So most of the people is industrial, and most of them are underserved people. Um, Minorities have cancers, different cancers. So I was out pushing early detection, save lives. Had a friend that was there, one of my sponsors, and I was there off and on the last 6 months of 2021. They let me come into some of the casinos. I couldn't go back to where they was getting and talk to their staff and everything. And people say, "Are you aware?" And people saying they can't believe that someone is doing it. But that's what the gloves represent. These are just navy blue for men, but the men that take pictures, those are my personal gloves. In my personal glove, they have a story. Generally, they have a year on it, whatever year I created it. But just, we have to do something to get a buzz. And like I said, the art, I am an artist. They told me I was an artist. I started in the art studio, and I'm not, I have people, they can draw this and they look just like that. Well, I don't even like that. I like slinging. I'm like, oh, let me just throw this and see what happens, or what that's. So the art therapist, we have art therapists with all degrees and stuff, and
Okay.
she said, "Miss Barbara, you are an artist. You're just an abstract artist." I'm like,
Abstract
okay,
afterward. Okay.
okay. So, and I tell people, well, when people will pay you money for your art, and I have fun. Like, this is my art therapy day. That's my therapy. I don't go to a therapist. That's my art. I go and I create, and people pay money. So the little gift I gave you, it is called the Serenity Bottle.
Oh, and I wanted to show you all how beautiful.
Do it like
this.
this.
Is my gift from
Do it like
her.
this.
Like this. Shake it.
hmm
Okay.
Serenity bottles or common bottles are, you have therapists. I have therapists that have purchased it for me.
Wow.
They're relaxing. If you're stressed or your blood pressure, look at that, and that will lower your stress.
I hope it will, because I had a little bout with most of you all know, with my blood pressure about 3 weeks ago.
Well, that's what.
And that,
Yeah,
and I well, thank you for that. That's the kind of therapy I'm talking about. Not taking a bunch of pills and
that's
that
it.
kind of stuff.
That's what it's about. So I create those that I have all sizes. That's how I raise funds for my nonprofit.
Okay.
We have they're $60 and up, but I don't sell them. If my art say $1,000, if you get donate $1,000, I give you that piece of art as a thank you gift.
Okay.
So August the 29th, we're celebrating my 70th birthday. So it's a fundraising event for my nonprofit.
Okay.
So that's what and I'm running behind on it, but I'm gonna catch up because I had to 6, 7 months. I had to fight for
I
surgery
did
and
post
take
that.
medicine.
I did post that flyer on my post. I'm going to repost it again for the event to keep reminding you guys, about that, because it's very important that we advocate through funding for our MT, because this is how she is spreading the information that needs to be conversated about.
Yes, yes. So we will. I'll get you a good flyer, but get the location. I'm still trying to secure the location, whatever. But yeah, that's what we do. I do my art. I go in the studio. I have about $6,000 worth of those.
Okay.
Those already made up. We're not even
Okay.
talking about my art, but just Serenity bottles, different sizes. You can display them on your fireplace. I have the very big ones, or whatever. They somebody see it. They're like, "What is that?" They're a conversation piece, and then you can share. But they're using. I have people using with children. To lower their stress levels and things like that. So
Okay.
yeah, and so that's what we'll be doing. But I am so excited.
And tell us about now. Where is the event going to be? Are you
That one I will secure no later than Monday. I
okay?
have 3 different places.
Okay. Oh, this is just the beginning of July, so you still got some
Well,
time.
I've been working on it for months,
Yeah.
but something opened up. Put it like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Good
So
deal.
that would be a better location.
Okay.
I didn't do one last year. I did one year before or whatever. But yeah, but I will have some of my art and food and things like that, and it'll be celebrating my 70th birthday.
And
So
what a way
I'm
to celebrate. And I tell you, I am just so honored to have someone, a sister that is really impacting the community. And that's what I said when I started my show back, that I wanted to bring people in studio, hear their stories, and people that are doing the real work out here in the community, the real change agents. So now it says public role. Barbara is active in life coaching, public speaking, and event marketing, using her platform, again, there's that word, to inspire hope and healing. She is recognized for turning personal tragedy into purpose, serving as both a survivor and a servant leader in the fight against cancer. And that is the best way to sum up who you are, a woman of God, and I know that your faith has increased. I know your faith increases every day that you get up and you are able to, to me, you have a spirit of, teach one, reach one,
That's it.
and long as you reach that one person that one day, then your living is not in vain.
Vain.
That's what I love so much about you. And, like I said, we have to have more of these conversations. We have to have more podcasts that even stress about cancer awareness, and like you said, advocating for yourself, and that's the main thing. Sometimes we just, we don't give out, we just give up, instead of giving, so it's not, what is it, give out and give up, vice versa. We need to understand that we just cannot stop. We just cannot. And you're the type of person that I feel like that once you get behind somebody, they're going to say, okay, let me just go ahead and do this because she's not going to leave me alone. And that's good that you have the type of personality that you can sway a person into understanding that you have to advocate for yourself in times like that. Because, we hear that all the time of, oh, she got diagnosed with stage when we go, oh no, but that does not mean that's how the story ends.
That's it. It is. I tell people, this is what I tell people quite often. I never really, you can tell me what stage, but you won't hear me asking unless I need to know. Because some resources I give, I must know what you was diagnosed with, the stage and everything. If I'm helping someone in another state, I must know their county, zip code. That's how the resources
because they're
go.
making resources
Yeah,
go, right.
that's how the resources. But it doesn't matter to me, and I don't ask because see, I've worked out. I was introduced to exercise. I worked out with people going with cancer all through their body.
Okay.
And everybody think, oh, they laying up in a No, they're working out, and I was introduced to healthy cooking, healthy eating.
Okay.
So Chef
Tiffany
Zoe
Reed.
at the at Baylor Cancer Simon's Cancer Center, Chef Zoe just did her last class 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
For I think 18 years, twice a month, but they have another one. But it's not diet; it's what we like, cooked healthier, with and things like that. So I still follow all of that, and I share it. I also go out and I get education on these chronic diseases.
Okay.
You understand African Americans, diabetes. You
Right.
understand the numbers. And I share living donorship about, you can donate a kidney and live. You can donate part of your lung and live to help save someone, because African Americans are the less ones doing it. But if you go look at the kidney register, more African Americans are waiting on the kidney than any race.
Right. Right.
You understand? Pull the numbers. Just look yourself. And I tell people, say, what? I say, yeah, more African Americans. So that means more of us are going to die from it. You understand? Even blood drives. African Americans donate blood less than any race that there is.
Yeah, I know whenever Carter Blood Bank always had, they have the big band driving around, and you hardly ever see African Americans in the line,
Yeah.
To give, popping up and, you're ready to give blood. And I've often wondered about that. Why is it that we, because we get into situations, accidents or whatever, that we may need blood transfusions.
That's
and,
it.
And I always wondered about that. That was it on that.
What some of the answers because I'm people find me, they ask me, what's your superpower? People find me very easy to talk to. So they would confide in me, they would tell me their fears and doubts and everything. And a lot of them will tell you, and I still hear, well, they took Locke's blood and they did this, and then
Yeah.
they gave those men syphilis. And I was like, we
You
have to
hear all
come
of
past
that.
all of this, because our numbers, Hispanics is in better place than us when it comes to medical. I'm telling you. So we have to change our thought or whatever, not be fearful. We cannot operate in fear. Go out and donate. I'm 70, but I started voting and donating when I was 18.
Right.
You understand? And things like that. And so it's like normal to me, but most people like, oh no, they're going to take my blood and do. If they take my blood and do something to help save somebody, like, I don't care.
Right. Right.
That's me.
Right.
I don't care or whatever. But we can't hold on to the past and be afraid because your child or grandchild get there and need blood, and
It's not there.
it's not there or whatever. So we have to help each other.
Right.
Like I tell people, be kind, but we have to help each other. And helping each other is donating blood, seeing if you can donate a kidney, seeing if you can donate, because your liver regenerates. You can give your part of your liver to someone. I've met a man, he gave to a baby and saved a baby's life, and that,
Wow.
and things like that. So I'm all off into that. I go to workshops. I went to the State of Diabetes about a year ago. It was
Okay.
downtown, and it was just, I was like, oh my God, our people is, one can't be reversed, but two can.
Right.
With what you put in your body and get you some movement in. You don't put the wrong thing in there, you put the right thing, get you some movement, you can reverse. You don't have to be on the dialysis and get all that medicine, whatever. So I'm constantly educating myself and going to work, and it costs me money.
Right.
When I went to
So that's why
Philly,
it's important that people
Yeah,
donate,
yeah.
to the cause. So what's next for Barbara Turkneck Edwards and our MT Network? What is exciting that's coming down the pipe that you can share with us?
well, my 70th birthday, cause baby, I'm gonna come out boxing, and the champ is gonna be in
Don't
the
do it,
house.
don't
The
you do it,
champ
don't you do
is
it.
in the house.
I know that's right.
I actually, they have invited me to come back, where I can do some interviews to Jamaica.
Okay.
I have been invited to Africa, Haiti, and some of this stuff has to be put off because of things that's going on.
Right, right.
I have a group of women in Brazil. I have been
Wow.
invited to go and talk. So, the funds have to be there. You
Exactly,
understand?
exactly.
We're not one of them. We're grassroots or whatever. And like I said before the pandemic, like I said, I had a sponsor, and he doesn't. I had a sponsor. I've stayed in the top 5-star hotels, made sure I ate and everything, and never would take a write-off.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
But a lot of this stuff happened because of the pandemic. It happened, my sons and his wife, a company, used to cover plane tickets. Girl, like when I had to pay for a plane ticket myself or whatever, but a lot of that stuff went under, when the pandemic, and after the
Right,
pandemic,
right.
some of them held on. So I have to try to pull in funds this way and that way or whatever. So that's why I do I'm glad the art or whatever. But look, so.
We are certainly going to be supporting you um, at the August celebration.
Okay,
The whole
okay.
month. I know you're going to be celebrating the whole month, even knowing you.
I'm going
And
into September, girl.
okay. That's what I'm talking about, by living life and living life to the fullest and living your best life. And like I said, it not only shows, on the outside, sitting here, it shows from the inside as well. And I can not put
Thank
into
you.
how many words I appreciate, you coming today and you talking about this, because like I said, this is a subject matter that needs more conversation, and we need more change agents like you. And I love you and thank you so, so much. And we'll be seeing you around, Jop. We got some more things coming up.
Okay.
And like I said, I think you're going to have to be one of my frequent flyers when I can catch up with you and ground you to get into to get in here, until the chair. So that is our show for today, and I want to say thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, what else can I say but Barbara Turnick Edwards, our MT. We want to say to Miss Rose and Heaven how much we love and appreciate what your life was to us, and especially to you and to the rest of your family, and that her life and her living and her name will not be in vain.
That's right.
And that we're going to
Right.
keep on keeping on. And as my friend Rodney Armstrong would always say, and the journey continues.
That's it.
All right, well, that's our show. And thank you all for tuning in. And as I always say at the end, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And if a subject is important to you, it's more important to me. And I want to say kudos to Tiffany Reed, who is coming up with her podcast. In the next couple of weeks, we want to say congratulations to her and homegirl, my niece. We will be tuning in. Love you. All right, that's our show. Peace out. And I'll go ahead and say it. Happy 4th of July. Bye.